Hi, and welcome back to David Pattinson's Accused Friends. Today I want to talk about the case of Caroline Flack, and I want to do a follow-up video to my earlier one previewing her trial. Caroline sadly died over the weekend in what was a tragic series of events, and I have a lot of sympathy for her family, for everyone connected. It's not a series of events I wanted to see in any way. I was interested to follow the case from the point of view of false accusations because she pleaded not guilty. And it was a kind of a spin on normal cases where, as Alison Saunders would say, all accusers have to be believed. And it's whether all women have to be believed if they're the accuser, or whether all accusers have to be believed, whether it's a man or a woman. So I was interested in the case. It won't take place now, obviously, but I wanted to use this video really to talk about the media reaction to the case of Caroline Flack. I believe in this country we do not use important events as teachable moments to remind people of the law, but really what the media likes to do is use important events to subvert the law. And that's exactly what they've done here, and I want to sort of talk about why. So there's a lot of blame going around towards the Crown Prosecution Service, saying CPS should never have pursued this case, and that that obviously the pressure of the court case is what caused the sad demise of Caroline Flack, and I think that's probably true. But the question that warrants asking is whether the accusation against Caroline Flack is worthy of a court case. Is smashing a sleeping person over the head with a lamp a criminal act or not? And I believe the answer is that it's a criminal act if you do it, David, but it is not a criminal act if Caroline Flack does it, because she's a woman. Therefore, she has a different set of legal standards to, everyone else. And of course, the other thing that's being thrown into this mix is that Caroline Flack was a vulnerable person. And people, I think, will ask the question, well, I thought Caroline Flack was a millionaire. She can afford the top doctors, she can afford to live in a nice neighborhood, she can afford bodyguards. How vulnerable do you have to be above the law? And obviously Caroline Flack had a lot of emotional and mental problems, and I'm sympathetic to those. But the reason I'm making this point is about, who's responsible for their own actions and who isn't. Is an individual in this country that lives in a bad, dangerous neighborhood, who has no money, who has no job, are they also exempt from their, behavior if they were to do the same thing that Caroline Flack was accused of, or would they be prosecuted in the normal way? So I'm asking the question of is this charge that Caroline Flack had against her, is it a crime or isn't it a crime? And if it is a crime and there's evidence that she committed this crime, surely she should be charged. Also, I want to ask the question about vulnerable people. There's been a lot of people saying, well, Caroline Flack shouldn't have been charged simply because she was a vulnerable person. And so I want to ask the question, well, what is a vulnerable person? How do we define that as a country? And also, is a criminal act committed by a vulnerable person still a crime? When we talk about these sexual assault cases, which I've talked about a lot, the way the justice system or the feminist justice system has chosen to define them is not about the intent of the person committing the offence, but the receiver. Did the woman feel like she was assaulted, or did she not feel like she was assaulted? So the person committing the act has no control over their legal liability. It's all in the hands of the receiver. So also in the Caroline Flack case, we're saying that it's not about the receiver now, it's about the emotional or societal well-being of the person committing the act. So it's totally flipped the script. And for regular members of the public, they have a right to ask the question, what is the law? How do we stay on the right side of the law when the law is so ambiguous and when it keeps changing? And I think the way to stay on the right side of the law is just simply to be born female. If you're born female, it's very, very tough for you to be in violation of the law. Whereas if you're born male, you're liable to be in contravention of the law kind of at any moment that's out of your control. And it totally flies in the face of what is an equal justice system. I thought an equal justice system was, everyone treated the same way, regardless of who you are. But of course, nowadays, it's an unequal justice system. And I think the government and the media every day lies to the public and tries to pretend that we're living in an equal justice system, but we're not. Going back to the CPS, of course, they're trying to marry up these two factors. They're trying to say, okay, well, we live in an equal justice system, so, we've got to try to prosecute people for violent offences, even if they are women, even though we don't want to do so. And of course, under Alison Saunders, CPS has delivered so many precedents of prosecuting people for such soft, pathetic, non-offences. I did a video a couple of months back about the case of Jamie Griffiths, and I called it Britain's harshest ever prosecution. This was just a soft, gentle kid that wouldn't hurt anyone. He touched a girl on her waist in the park, and he was charged. He was convicted by a female magistrate, and he was put on the sex offenders register for 5 years. So if we're going to say Jamie Griffiths was worthy of charge, surely we've got to say that Caroline Flack was worthy of charge, do we not? Or do we have one rule for one person if they're male, and another rule for another person if they're a female celebrity that's popular with the media? Moving on to an additional point in the Caroline Flack aftermath, and that is to do with sort of celebrity bullying or online bullying of celebrities through social media. And, I have a very simple solution to this problem, which is if you're a celebrity that doesn't like online abuse, you do have the option of just coming off social media. No one's forcing you to be on there. I think a lot of celebrities use social media to further maximize their wealth. And, there's a greed dimension beneath it. I look at a lot of these football players, they earn millions from their football, and then they get on social media to, develop a fan base and sell products that they endorse, into that fan base. And they love it. They love making that money. They love raising their profile. They just don't want the consequences that come with it. So they want to tap down on freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of the press, if it's press and speech that they do not like. But yet they don't want to just cancel their social media account. So I do encourage celebrities, if you want to get away from all these online trolls, you can come off social media, and you can also do it today by deleting your accounts. So, if any celebrities are watching this and, this point resonates with them, that is an option for you, and I encourage you to take it. So I hope this video has been interesting to people. Again, very sympathetic about the Caroline Flack death and sympathies to her family. But I do not think this should take away from the fact that, all British people are responsible for obeying the law, no matter who you are. And I think the media should be reminding people of that rather than trying to change the rules for someone who was their close friend. So I hope you find this video interesting, and thank you for watching David Pattinson's Accused Friends.